I'm announcing tonight that I'm a candidate for the United States Senate. I agonized over this question for the last 3 or 4 days, as anybody who knows me can tell you. And the basic question that I asked myself was, can I do anything? Can I make a difference? Particularly as an independent in an organization that's set up around parties. Because I don't want to go down there. I don't want to be a senator. I've done the trooper thing, you know, and the good parking, although that's pretty cool. But I want to do something as a senator. Now, I remember in 1994, when there were articles and people saying, you can't be a governor as an independent, you'll never work, you got both parties in the legislature, nothing's going to happen. You know, I can remember there were articles, there was a big headline in the Portland paper, can an independent govern? And guess who they interviewed for that story? Leaders of the parties. What do you think they said? Hell no! Well, I think we proved that wrong. We proved that by civility, common sense, building bridges, working with coalitions, working with people individually, one issue at a time, we could get something done. Now, I don't have any illusions that it's easy in Washington that one guy from Maine is going to be able to turn the whole thing around. But you know, you got to start somewhere. And my conclusion is that there's a reasonable chance that I can make a difference. And if we go the way we usually go and send down a member of one of the parties, there's no chance it'll change. And I think that's where we are today. Let's turn the question around. If a person as capable and hardworking and experienced with the seniority and the character and the intelligence of Olympia Snowe left because she couldn't get anything done, then it seems to me you've got to try something else. We've got to try something else. In a closely divided Senate, I can be a broker for common sense. In a sea of partisan anger, I can be a voice for civility. In a national debate that's largely been taken over by the extremes, and I forgot to bring the Sunday paper. Remember the headline? It said, "Extremes taking over Congress." I can speak for the middle. The people who don't, and this has been my universal experience in Maine, people don't care who gets the credit. They don't care which party passed the bill. They just want the problem solved. And I believe they desperately want to get back to a place in America where they can trust the government again, where they can trust the government to look out for their interests, the people's interests, the people in Milo and in Bangor and in York and in Bridgeton and in Lewiston. And frankly, I think I might scare them. And that would be a good thing, because Maine would be sending a message that if they don't get their act together, other states and other communities are going to be sending more people like me. That would be their worst nightmare. And instead of looking over their shoulders, which is what they do now, to the right or the left, depending on which party, maybe they'll look toward the middle and say, how about all those people out there? How about all the people in America that need these problems solved? There's a wonderful story about Ed Muskie's first couple of weeks in the U.S. Senate. Lyndon Johnson, who was the majority leader, came up to him and said, "Ed, when they want you to vote, don't tell them how you're going to vote. Keep that vote to yourself. Tell them you'll get their vote when they get to the M's in the alphabet. You know, then you're your own man, Ed." Can't you hear Johnson? So about 2 weeks later, there's some kind of procedural vote, and Lyndon goes up to Muskie and says, "Ed, I got your support on this one, don't I?" And Muskie says, "Senator," he says this to the most powerful majority leader in the history of the United States Senate, "Senator, they haven't gotten to the M's yet." I want to be that guy. They haven't gotten to the K's yet. Because now, as Olympia's statement on Friday was extraordinary. She said, we've essentially become like a parliamentary system, where every vote in the Senate is a party line vote, and you've got to vote with the party no matter what. The leader tells you how to vote, and that's what you do. Why would I want to leave Maine on a Sunday night and leave Mary and the kids and go to Washington and report in to Harry Reid or Mitch McConnell on Monday morning? Doesn't work. Here's the way I feel. Nobody will be able to tell me how to vote except the people of Maine. By the way, here's a prediction. As I mentioned, there'll be stories about that'll all quote political insiders saying, can an independent senator get anything done? And they're all going to say no. I'm just predicting that. It'll be in the next 2 or 3 days. For this reason, this is going to be a tough campaign. Because if you don't think the parties don't like each other much, wait till they get a load of me. They'll dissect everything I've ever written. They'll go over my record as governor with a fine-tooth comb. But you know, that's okay. I thought about it. You know, it gives you a little, you say, oh, 8 years, man, a lot of decisions. Then I thought about it, and I said, I'm not worried about that. You know why? I'm not kidding you. Every decision I made trying to think what was best for Maine. Wasn't always right, particularly in 20/20 hindsight, but I don't have any apologies to make because I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to do my best, and I was trying to call them as I see them. By the way, that may be a bumper sticker. I call them as I see them. That's my political philosophy in one phrase. The campaign's going to unfold. We'll talk about issues, education, the deficit, economy, energy, dozens more. I'll have answers that some of you will like, some of you won't. They won't satisfy both sides, but they'll be the best I can do based on my own best judgment and the judgment of the people of Maine. But the real issue in this campaign, this is an extraordinary moment, because we have an opportunity here, you and I, to do something very unusual in American history. The real issue is the system itself, and whether we can start right here in Maine, right now, tonight, a movement toward a Senate that's focused on policy and not politics, common ground instead of confrontation. If you like the system as it is, I'm not your guy. If you want a shot at changing it, I hope you'll join me. And finally, I'm not running against anybody. I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for something. I'm running for a government that works, that can solve the problems that the people of Maine so desperately need attending to. And for that reason, because I'm running for and not against, you will not see a single negative ad come out of this campaign. And I can't close without talking a bit about money. One of the reasons our system is so messed up is money. And as if it wasn't bad enough, a year ago, the United States Supreme Court issued its decision in the Citizens United case, which is the worst decision in the United States Supreme Court since Dred Scott. It's based upon the hilarious premise that someone can give you millions and millions and millions of dollars, and there's no quid pro quo, there's no influence. It would be humorous if it wasn't so serious. And that's one of the issues that we have to address. Now, as luck would have it, last week, when I was wrestling with this, in our class here at Bowdoin, we were discussing Joshua Chamberlain on Tuesday and on Thursday. And we learned a lot from Joshua Chamberlain. There's a lot to learn. We learned about courage and honor, about perseverance and hard work. But the main thing we learned from Joshua Chamberlain is that when the circumstances are tough, when the odds are long, when the opportunities appear unobtainable, when the moment comes, you don't equivocate, you don't deny, and you don't retreat. Chamberlain gave us one piece of advice: charge. And that's exactly what I intend to do. All right.